Hello everyone, Linda Israel here, and I'm going to show you how to decorate a page to go into a junk journal using a napkin and an old book page and some acrylic paint, as well as some Tattered Angel products, Glam, and Glimmer Mist. So the first thing that I've done here is I have some ivory text weight or copy paper that I have gone into my computer and then made journal lines on both sides so that it's ready for writing. Now when this page is folded in half, it's about 8¼ inches tall by about 5¼ inches wide. And I thought that it would look really pretty to put some napkin down the side here. So here's what we're going to do. I've got this journal page. I know where my center is. I know how I want to set this up. And I have a multiply napkin here that has a beautiful image on there that I thought goes well with the journal kit that I'm working on. I've got some Scotch tape or transparent tape. And I'm just going to grab a little piece of that and I'll show you a trick about separating. I can't talk right now. Separating the napkin layers. If you're unable to pull it apart like this, you can put a piece of tape on the back and pull it up, and that will help it come free. I got lucky and I didn't have to do that with this napkin. So I'm just going to pull apart these layers. And I got lucky to be able to pull both of the layers free. You want to do this whenever you're gluing a napkin down, because whatever is the last layer touching or closest to the glue will stick and the other layers can peel up. So now that I've got my image here, I'm going to go down. I think if I put half on one side, half on the other. Okay, so I'm going to just roughly tear this by hand. I'm not really worried that it might be crooked. I'm just tearing it. So, and I'll save the other piece to use later. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go around to the other side and I'm going to tear this as well. Just basically giving it not a finished perfect edge. So now the side pieces have been trimmed. I'll get rid of the excess. And I'm going to figure out how tall I want this. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to glue it down and then I'll trim it off. So I'm trying to figure out where I want it. I think right about in the middle there. And what I'm going to do is take this napkin and basically fold it in half lengthwise and make a little crease. Because what I want to do is I'm going to lay this over the edge and we're going to adhere this on both sides. So it'll have this real pretty effect on the page. So I'm going to open this up. I've got just some standard glue stick. I think this is one I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And I just want something to help hold this in place. And I find that napkins don't need a whole lot of glue. So I'm going to start down the edge here. And it's going to use a lot of glue stick. So you want to make sure you start with a fresh glue stick. There's nothing like in the middle of a project and then you run out of glue stick and you don't have any extra. So I'm really coating this and I'm going to come past where I know it will attach to my page, because this dries clear and it won't dry sticky. So I'm not worried about if there was any extra. So I'm just going to open this up and then I'm going to pull this over and just gently smooth it with my hands. So this side has been adhered. I'm going to flip it over and do the other side in the same fashion. Go down this edge, get a lot of glue. And I'm just slowly smoothing this out onto my page. And then I'll trim off these edges. I'm just going to use my scissors here and trim this off. So that looks pretty cool, just like that. But let's take it up another notch. And what I'm going to do is place this in my spray box that I like to use with Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist. And I have a stencil here that I'll lay on top. I've got a couple of colors of Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. I have Taffy and I have Precious Metal. I just love the pearlescent shimmer in this. The Taffy, I have a couple of mixing balls in the bottom. They're from Brutus Monroe, and it helps mix up that mica so it's not resting on the bottom. See how it's resting on the bottom of this one? And it's going to take a little bit more to shake that up where this one is already shook up. So I've got these shaken up, and what I'm going to do is just spritz. I'm going to go mainly to one side because I plan to put something over here, but I want to show you what it looks like. That was Taffy, and then this is Precious Metal. I have another piece of paper here that I'm just going to lay over the top and soak up any extra Tattered Angels that's resting on top of the stencil. So that's one side that has been sprayed with Tattered Angels. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to spray the other side. I'm going to use the same piece of paper so that it'll be two-sided and pick up the excess. And I'll save this. So there is the page that has been Tattered Angeled and added a napkin to it. You can stop there because that's a pretty decorative page that you can write your journals on. But I want to do something to this other side over here, so let me get the supplies to do that. I have a piece of book page that's cut the same height as my journal. I don't care about the width because I'm going to fold it and it's not really going to matter too much. I've got a Ken Oliver mixed media watercolor mat. This is great for when you're painting with paint or Tattered Angels so that it doesn't get all over your work surface, and this will be easy to wash off. I've got a little palette here and an old gift card. And so what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of light coral acrylic craft paint. This is this kind that is on sale usually for 77 cents at Hobby Lobby. And then this one is called Rose Princess. And we don't need very much. This is probably more than I need. It's about nickel size if you're from the US. Now the Glam is got glitter in it. And it's going to be very liquid. So I'm putting it on last. And I'm just going to barely pour a little bit on. I got more than I needed. But that'll be okay. Using the old gift card helps this mix really quick and dry fast. So I'm just going to take my card and use the edge to pick up some of this paint and smear it on. And I don't want it really thick, so I'm going to basically keep working this until the whole page is covered and there's not any globs of paint. So I've coated this pretty well. I'll be able to lift it up off of this mixed media pad with ease. I'll either let this air dry or I can heat set it. So what I'm going to do is go clean up my space and I'll be back. My mixed media pad came out clean. As you can see, there's not any peach or pink paint on there. And this looks like it's pretty dry. It's okay if it curled up. It's no big deal. We're going to flatten it out. Using my same stencil and box, I'm going to lay the stencil over the top of this piece of paper. It'll help flatten it out while I've laid it in there. I have some Italian Sunset Tattered Angels, which is a deeper orange or peach, and then the Precious Metal again. So I'm shaking those up. I'm going to spray this over the top and add both colors, and then I'll use the mop-up technique that I showed earlier. So it gives a subtle amount of color here, and I'll use my embossing tool to dry. Now that I have this piece painted, the next thing that I like to do is about a quarter of an inch, I'll fold over on these long edges all the way down and just kind of finger press that into place. I'll rotate it and do it on the other side as well. You can kind of Maybe if you left the sides on, use the text if you want to make sure you're getting straight, or you can just do it any old way. So now I've got those pieces done. Now I'm going to fold it in half lengthwise. Increase that. I don't glue these down. You can if you want. Sometimes I sew them in place. For today, I'm just going to glue this on. So I'm going to match this up on the sides here, making sure it's all the way into the fold and matched up in the center from top to bottom. And then I like to use simple Aleene's tacky glue. And I will put a little bead on the top and the bottom of the book page. Again, I'll make sure that this is lined up in the center and then fold it over and press it into place. It only takes a moment for it to adhere, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So there is my page that I created. If I wanted, I could have sewn here to add some stitching, but I'm not quite done. I want to put some embellishment on top of this piece. I have some calico collage images from the Fairy Garden collection. These are the domino images, and whenever I get a journal kit, I also try to get the journal cards or domino images, whatever are the add-on pieces that may not be really for junk journaling, but I have found work perfectly to make embellishments. I used a punch, this is from EK Success, and punched out a shape, and then I cut out one of the images. I also punched a heart with another punch, and then I have some flowers here. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the Vintage Photo Distress ink and ink up the edges, because sometimes when I cut out these images I don't get all of that white, and this also helps just define the edge of the image. I print my images with a color laser printer. In this case I did use laser paper, color paper when I made it. I've got my glue stick here, and I'm just going to go on the back side of this image and add a little bit of glue to stick it to the cardstock. I'm going to go around the edge of this piece with some distressed ink as well. I've got a little pink heart. I was trying to pull the pink that was in the napkin. I have a re-inker for the Vintage Photo, and it comes in handy because I use this a lot, and it can get dried out, and the color is not as vibrant when it's dry. Since I've added more color, I'm going back and darkening the edges. So look for the re-inkers too. Alright, this is going to become a tuck spot up here on my book page, so I need to figure out how I want to place everything. I also want to add some words, and what I do is I either stamp or I print on my computer. I have some punches, or I use my Cricut or Silhouette to cut out words. And I think the word laughter is good to go with fairies, don't you think? So I'm going to take one of these. This is on ivory cardstock. And I'm going to use the distress ink again and go around the edge. I know I want to use this heart, so what I think I'm going to do is add just a little bit of glue on one side of this heart and attach it to the image. I got a little piece of eyelash yarn that I trimmed, and I'm going to lay this on top of the heart, and we're going to take some more of the glue, the Aleene's tacky glue. I'm going to put it on the back of the word laughter, and I'm putting a generous amount so that it can capture the fibers and stick it all together. So I'm going to overlap these pieces and hold it in place for just a moment. So now that's glued together. I have some clear tacky gel and a fine point tip, the writing tip from Scrap Perfect, so that I can add just little dots of glue. So I'm just squeezing out, got to get it to the tip. I don't know if you can even see how tiny this glue is. And I'm just going to put a couple of little bitty dots on the back side of this flower. And then we're going to stick this down. I've got another little flower here. And when you're done with the glue, you want to make sure you put the cap with the needle down inside the tip so it doesn't clog. And that's why it's called a no clog writing tip. And then you want to make sure to screw it into place and store it upright. These little self-adhesive rhinestones, I'm just going to grab a couple off of here using some tweezers to put that on there. I'll grab a little one, do the same. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add glue across the top here, and this will become a tuck spot on the page. So I'll position this. So now if you have a journaling card, it can stick under there. We're going to let that dry. I don't want my card to stick to it. So earlier we used a piece of paper that soaked up the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. In my case, this piece of paper just so happens to be perforated. Where I used to work, the company would make these perforated pages because they would print information on them, and they were used as scorecards for judging livestock at the state fair. Well, this particular batch was not done correctly, and instead of throwing them away, I saved them, and I thought this would make good little note cards. So I'm just finding all the perf areas, and I'm going to tear it apart, and I'll have 8 pieces of paper that can be used as little journaling spots. I'm going to stack these together in sets of 4. I punched 2 more of these labels that I use, so I'm going to use my distressed ink and go around the edges. Then I'm going to fold these in half. It can be kind of tricky, but I'm just lining up the edge, and I'll just use my finger to score it on both pieces. So I'm lining up these pages. They're going to go inside here, but I think I want to round the corners, so I'm going to use my Crocodile corner chomper, and we're going to do the 1/4 inch side. Then we'll place this over the edge. See how much nicer that looks with the rounded corners? I'm going to take a staple, and I've decided I want some more of this funky stuff. I think I want to put a little piece of this and staple it together. Let's see what happens. Didn't really catch, but I'm going to trim that. So now we've got this piece. And let's do the other one the same way. And I think what I'll do is I'll grab a couple of these flowers and stick those on. We'll grab some more of these rhinestones. Alright, so now we have a couple of little journaling tags. And I'll stick one here, and I'll stick one here. So there is my completed page. I used the Napkin and Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and this is pretty smooth across here. It can hardly tell that there's a napkin, and you can write on top of this on both sides. And then we have the pocket with the little notepad that we made. The tuck spot here, I didn't make a card for, but we can have one later. And then, of course, on this side as well. I hope you enjoyed seeing this version of applying a napkin to a journal page to make something beautiful. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment below, and of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Check out the description box for links to the products that I used here today. If you have any questions, definitely comment below. I really appreciate each and every one of you for watching my videos, for every like and comment and share that you do with my videos, because it helps me very much. And of course, subscribing. I'm hoping to reach 5,000 subscribers. Are you on the way to helping me by subscribing? Please do so. Have a fabulous day, everybody. Bye.